Shalom. It's great to be able to share with you a little insight in honor of this Shabbat and in honor of the month, the Hebrew month that we are celebrating, the month of Elul, which is actually the last month of the year, where we begin to think about the high holy days, about our Rosh Hashanah recipes, and how we can prepare in a little bit more of a serious manner for the opportunities that lie ahead in the coming year. So I want to share with you a little bit about the month of Elul, and it's actually interesting because Elul is a prominent concept, a prominent month that goes all the way back to biblical times, but in a less known context, actually associated with the sin of the golden calf and Moses coming down from Mount Sinai. As we know, Moses initially went up to Mount Sinai to get the Ten Commandments, and he was there for 40 days. And then it comes down after 40 days and witnesses the unfortunate, colossal sin of the Jewish people, and he sees them worshiping the golden calf. In response to this, he breaks the Ten Commandments. God, too, is pretty disappointed with the Jewish people, and Moses, in order to settle things down, he goes back up to Mount Sinai for another 40 days, begging and pleading for forgiveness for the Jewish people. And comes back down at the end of those second 40 days with a message of forgiveness, a passage that we actually repeat on Yom Kippur, Salachti kidvarecha. God is forgiving us like we have requested, like our words have expressed. And this occurs on Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of the month of Elul. But all is not settled just yet, because even though they have been forgiven, they still don't have the replacement set of 10 Commandments. So now Moses goes up a third time for 40 days, and this time he comes back with the second set of 10 Commandments, which he actually delivers on Yom Kippur. So the whole month of Elul, from the first day of the month, stretching 40 days all the way till Yom Kippur, is really a time of great depth and great spiritual power that reflects the reconciliation, the teshuvah, the oneness between us and God. What's interesting is that this is such a powerful time. It seems to be the same kind of holiday, the same kind of stuff that Yom Kippur is, or other major Jewish holidays which represent powerful Jewish connections and powerful spiritual values. Whoops, sorry about that. That was the Ten Commandments breaking. No, just kidding. So the question is, why is it that we do not mark the 40 days from the beginning of the month of Elul, really the entire month, with the same way of traditional expression and celebration like we mark the high holy days themselves, or like any other of the major Jewish holidays? So to understand this, there's a beautiful metaphor, a beautiful teaching from the first Chabad Rebbe, who explains with the metaphor of a king in the field. And what this basically refers to is that there are certain times when the king is in their palace. And in order to access the king, one needs to have a special invitation, has special access. And when one is able to enter, one is obligated to conduct oneself in a particular manner with certain formalities, with certain decorum that are appropriate for the palace. And that would be equal to the high holy days themselves. But then there is a time when the king goes out of the palace, goes from town to town, from one location to another. And in that time period, the king is available and accessible to anybody. You can be wearing your jeans or your shorts or your baseball cap, and you can get a moment of interaction with the king and maybe even get a smile from the king, and the lack of preparation, the lack of decorum is not considered disrespectful in any way whatsoever. On the contrary, the king is coming to see and wants to see how the subjects, how the simple folk live and navigate their daily lives. This is what the month of Elul is about. The month of Elul is when the king is in the field. It's not about any formality, any obligation, any decorum, but the king comes out to visit us on our terms, at where we are at in our daily lives, and gives us an opportunity to connect in that setting in a much more unconditional manner. This, in a certain sense, if you think about it, highlights to us that perhaps in some way the month of Elul emphasizes and brings out the essential connection that we have with God, with our Jewish soul, with our spiritual essence, that in many ways supersedes the high holy days themselves. How, you may ask? Well, one way of understanding this would be the high holy days sometimes feel like a little bit of a time of obligation, where we are doing what we do because we are supposed to do it. There's a certain sense of burden, a certain sense of obligation, and maybe even a little bit of guilt that motivates us to do what is demanded of us on Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, etc. However, the month of Elul is the exact opposite. There's no obligation, there's no formal requirement. It's just really another day with the same opportunity. But when we are told that the king is available, when we are told that our access to God is there for us, and that we have the opportunity to connect, and we still gravitate towards that, we seek out that opportunity and choose it on our own volition, without any coercion, without any mandate, without any guilt, that shows that this is what we truly desire. That shows that this is what we truly cherish. That when we are free to do as we wish, we choose to seek out an opportunity to connect with God. An example of this may be how you can tell somebody what their true desires are, what their true interests are, from what they do in their free time. What we do when we are at work, or when we have our boss sitting on our heads, that doesn't show what we truly want. It's what we do when we have no other obligation, and what we engage in then, that shows who we truly are. And this is what the month of Elul expresses and reveals. It's that what Pintel Yid, which is that essential divine spark that we all possess, that when we are told there's an opportunity to connect, our immediate reaction is, I want that opportunity. When we're told there's an opportunity for a spiritual blessing, our immediate reaction is, I want to tap into that. So the month of Elul, the king in the field, really highlights the beauty, the natural attraction, the natural desire we all possess on a very deep level to connect to our spiritual core, to connect to our Creator, and in doing so, be perfectly positioned for the blessings that are going to flow in the coming year. May we all indeed be written and sealed for a ketiva v'chatima tova, a good year and a sweet year for all. Shabbat Shalom.